Greetings, survivors and friends, SHADOWFRAX here with your weekly Rust Roundup, and as this is the big monthly one, we're going to start with a recap of all the stuff that was merged into the main branch. But first, make sure that subscribe button and bell are switched to the correct settings so you never miss out. Hopefully. So, a little history lesson to begin with, and I want you to cast your minds back, if you were around and lucid at the time, to devblog number 67. And what a memorable devblog that was. Can you believe it though? It was published 5 years ago exactly to the day that I'm uploading this. And it was also a Friday. But the most significant thing is that in this very devblog, we were first introduced to the concept of modular cars. Incidentally, it was also the launching point for the Tier 2 cooking concept, which is sadly still in
Concept Limbo.
Can't believe they prioritized cars over pies. Anyway, with this week's patch, modular cars are finally here for everyone to find, fix, and wreck, probably all within the space of 5 minutes. Hint: they don't float. To recap, because I've already spoken many words about them, you'll find cars spawning near roads in a damaged state with a random selection of modules. They come in 3 chassis sizes, short, medium and long, and about 60 will spawn at a time on a default size map. Things you'll need to get them running are low grade and a full complement of engine parts, and the latter come in 3 quality tiers. Tier 1 parts can be found in toolboxes at roadside monuments, Tier 2 parts can be bought at the bandit camp, more on which in a second, and Tier 3 are on sale at the compound. But the real magic happens when you manage to get one onto a vehicle ramp. Here you can customize your slab with 12 different types of module, which are now craftable, to give it more power, armor, seating, or storage. It's up to you. Also, you can now add locks to prevent access to all the stuff you don't want people to access, and make extra keys for your team, so that you never have to be without a named driver. Also, they come with central locking as standard for extra security, and this automatically locks when nobody is in the car. What a time to be alive. As mentioned last week, with this patch, the island's road topography should now be smoother, with better junctions, wider side roads, and no more roadside decor actually on roads around intersections. Now it should be on the side of the roads because it's roadside decor. Also, the default map size was increased to 4,500 to allow you to express yourselves properly with your new wheels. Now, although cars will spawn near roads from here on in, something else won't. Yes, now there's no such thing as a free helicopter, and if you see one in the wild, then its owner will likely be hiding in a bush nearby, because you have to buy them now. And you do that here at the Heli Vendor at the bandit camp. I went into this in some detail last week, so watch that vid for full exposure, link on screen now. Although there has been a change worth mentioning. When I explained the pricing structure, I did tell you the placeholder costings were subject to change, didn't I? Some of you still decided to have a small aneurysm in the comments about it though, but for no real purpose it seems, as the prices were slashed over the last week. Minicopters are now 750 scrap instead of 1500, and transports are 1250 instead of 3000. Better now? A couple of other important changes to note are that minicopter decay has been increased to 8 hours outdoors and 36 hours indoors, which is the same as cars, and in a stunning move, we can now finally push them. A Heli Vendor has been added to Happy's Island too, and more on that shortly. And something you'll notice if you're a customer at Happy Chopper is that this particular vendor has been given the power of conversation and actually believes he's in an RPG. This is important to note, as Helk himself said in this month's devblog. This system will be expanded to include places to buy boats and horses, along with missions and quests. And in a recent interview, he also said, don't be surprised if some more RPG-like elements appear in the game in one of our upcoming monthly patches. So, what do you think could/should happen with this in the future, and what sort of missions would you take on if you could? Leave me a comment down below. Also in this update, safe zones just got safer. The bandit camp is now completely won and a bit bigger than at first, with a recently enlarged no-build zone around it to prevent players adding SAMs too closely, for one. And safe zone now means safe zone, which means no animals attacking you, and no players within the zone actually being able to take damage unless they're marked as hostile. So no sniping them from outside. You can't draw a weapon in a safe zone, but you can still walk in with one drawn. Sleepers auto-magically die after 20 minutes no matter where they go to sleep, and these rules now apply to the compound too, where you'll also find 3 recyclers instead of the usual 1. If you've been a bad survivor and find yourself marked as hostile, a small icon will now appear in the corner of your screen to tell you this. Plus, in your inventory screen, you'll see the time remaining until it all gets forgotten about and you can be friends again. Oh, and external wood gates and walls have had a visual refresh, which is a big improvement on the previous tiki bar look, I think. In optimization, vehicle input lag was reduced by up to 100 milliseconds in this patch, and this applies to all vehicles, not just cars. Memory usage was freed up by 800 megabytes by making the world space grids only load for the area around your character instead of for the whole map at once. And a very odd discovery was made in that the CPU time spent on Rust's UI could be cut by 66%, or 0.5 milliseconds per frame, by turning it off and on again. So that's what happens now when you start the game. Although exactly why it works like that is still a mystery apparently, because Unity. Additionally, there were improvements to tree rendering, LODs, and garbage collection allocations. In works in progress now, and a bit of sad news, possibly, poor old Savas Island, Rust's King of the Hill map that's been kicking around since 2015, is going to be retiring from August the 6th this year. But that's not all. Sadly, it was announced that also Happis Island will be suffering the same fate at some point in the future. So it seems non-procedural maps will be solely in the community domain at some point, although I guess it's perfectly possible for these ones to live on as custom maps if someone decides to do so. Apart from that, on the HDRP branch this week there has been much work to saplings and bushes in particular, and conditional roof corners received a lot of commits, although we don't have an exact idea of when they'll be ready. And lastly, there will be a mandatory update on July the 9th at 7 o'clock British Summer Time. No player progress will be lost during this, but I wonder what that could be. Well, it was mentioned alongside this image, so I'd imagine this will be the merging of the summer DLC I spoke about recently. At this point, we have a fairly good idea of what kind of items we'll see included, such as sunglasses, deck chairs, parasols, inner tubes and a pool, but also, according to the commits, boogie boards, instant cameras and water pistols. These are all fun items, of course, and won't be pay to win unless you think wearing sunglasses at night will give you an advantage, or if you're planning to battle a soluble enemy. I guess the real question is, will the water pistol have liquid physics like this? I'll have more info on this DLC next week as soon as something happens, so make sure you're subscribed for when I post about it. I stream on Twitch 3 times a week, so join me there and stay up to date with all my content and ramblings on Twitter, Facebook, Discord and my Steam group. A big thank you to my patrons for their continued support, and it would be a privilege to have you join them if you can. I shall catch you all very soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio. 66